All right, welcome everybody to tonight's Committee of the Whole meeting. It's Wednesday, April 8th at 6:30 p.m. Can I get a roll call?
Finkler.
Here.
Hammer.
Here.
Lawson is excused. Meyer.
Here.
Reed. Here. Relke.
Here.
Rostad.
Here.
I acknowledge this meeting was posted and noticed according to law.
All right. And I will open tonight's public hearing on comments regarding the 2026 West School Street Preliminary Assessment Report. And just a reminder that you can speak for up to 3 minutes. And I apologize ahead of time if I say your name wrong.
Molly, I'm going to ask that with this public hearing, the amount of people that we have in-house, that we up that to 5 minutes.
Per person? I would like to ask the rest of council how they feel about that. Is anybody else would like 5 minutes, or would you like to stay with our typical 3?
I think Marcus is right. They're here for a reason, and it's our job to listen to them, so.
Okay. Trina?
I'm leaning towards sticking with our 3, but I'm also okay with 5.
Okay. Amy?
I agree with Trina. I think the established 3 is what I'm leaning towards, but I would be okay with 5 or possibly a compromise of 4.
Okay. All right. Anybody have concerns with a compromise of 4? Because we're kind of split. We good with 4? Anybody? Okay, let's go with 4 since that's a happy compromise. All right, and so first up to speak is Judy Mantefil.
I only want to ask questions. It's fine.
Perfect, come on up here and you can ask all the
I
questions.
just want to wait until the presentation so I can figure out what I need to ask questions on. So, okay. So I want to know why we are paying for the cement sidewalks when that is technically city-owned, even though we have to pay the taxes on it. You know, that's what I want to know.
Is Jason coming up to answer questions or?
I think Jason Letha and Sam Bowman are here from Ricker Milky. I think they're anticipating answering questions at the end.
Oh,
Once
okay,
we've heard
perfect.
comments and questions from everyone, and then the council can also ask any questions or bring up any concerns that they have.
Okay, perfect, thank you. Sarah Motive? Come on up. Please state, sorry, I missed this on the first one. State your name and address too, please.
My name is Sarah Motive. I reside at 344 South Charles Street. I am here respectfully to request a decrease in the amount that we owe. I fully support this project. I am very pleased that the city is improving the infrastructure of School Street. It's very much needed. And I even agree that the sidewalk is needed to be there for the kids who are walking home from school and connecting it to Hibbard. When we moved here in 2019, Hibbard Street was redone. That is our backyard, and we are still paying the assessment for Hibbard Street. At that time, the council graciously waived the sidewalk for us and the cost of that to be placed on us, and waived that because it is the backyard of our house and it gives us absolutely no benefit. We have to maintain it. That's our money, our physical time. School Street now is on the side of our house. We have property on Charles, School, and Hibbard. And we have a significant, almost triple the amount of the average citizen to maintain with shoveling and salt and fixing cracks and those sorts of things. I understand that residents need to share in the cost for these improvements. However, I think expecting a single resident to pay approximately $17,000 towards this project is a little extravagant. and I would like to request a decrease in our assessment.
Right. Thank you. All right, Randy and Teresa Vick.
Randy Vick, 552 West School Street. Going over this, basically the assessment sheet on here. I'm having a hard time trying to figure out where there's 600 trees that are going to be taken down on School Street. So there's no way that, I even went out and counted, and I had a hard time coming up with 50. So if there's this error here, what other errors are here? And then the second one I have, where it says tree removal, line 17, 600 at $40. Ain't nobody taking a tree down for 40 bucks. But I'm pretty sure that 600 is some type of mistake. For $24,000. And then the second one I have, I understand with all the work being done, with coming from the road all the way up to the curb, who is responsible for any letters that are damaged? Like the water line, sewer line? Because I know my sewer line are clay sewer lines that are 2 feet. So with all the work that's going on, if that gets damaged, who's responsible? Am I responsible, or is the city responsible?
All right, thank you. Chris Ducat.
Chris Ducat, 414 West School Street. I have an issue again with the sidewalk. And it may be more personal than it is anything else because my sewer line comes off of Main Street, so I know nobody has to do anything with the sewer. Yes, the water line comes off of School Street. I still object to this. And we have 5-foot wide sidewalks, which have been replaced at our cost in the past. I understand ripping out parts of a sidewalk to get to the water line, the sewer line, whatever you have to get to. I don't agree with ripping out a whole sidewalk that is in perfect shape. For what purpose? There's no purpose. We paid for that. When the city used to come around and mark sidewalks, now, granted, I've lived there over 40 years, they used to mark, and then you had to replace it at your cost, which is what we did. Now you're gonna rip them all out again. And I object to that. So, that's my thing.
Thank you. Kelly Marks.
I'm just listening.
Oh, okay. Okay, perfect. Ruth, I'm assuming you want to be at the other public comment? Okay, perfect. Alan Lori Galston.
Good evening. Alan Galston, 347 South Charles. I guess I have the same question about the sidewalks, because my sidewalks are in very good condition. There's no heaving of them, no ups and downs. They're in really good shape. And I'm just questioning, why are you replacing sidewalks that there's nothing wrong with them? So I just need answers on it. Thank you.
Okay. That's all that I have on this list. Is there anybody else that wanted to speak? Anyone? Go ahead. Come on up here, state your name and address, please.
I'm Deborah Brown Henning, and my address is different than the house. It's a rental house. So you want my address?
Yes.
Okay. It's W5038 Cowgill Road, Ryo, Wisconsin, 53960. It's in reference to 507 West School Street and 414 South Birdsey Street. There's an address on both sides. By the way, they sent it to my old address, and I did call after the last time I missed an initial meeting they had on this. And then it still went to my old address. I just got it day before yesterday. But at least I got it. Couple things, just my address is on here. One of them says 507 West School Street. One says 414 School Street. So I'm wondering how accurate this is actually also. And then the other thing I just had, because maybe I missed the other meeting, but the way they divided it into the zones, it seems like the zone that I'm in, the amount is a lot higher, I guess because of the base or whatever. But I just thought it's kind of strange because, you know, you're kind of going downhill, so everybody should be on that street should be sharing in that if you understand what I'm saying.
Okay.
Yeah. And I guess that's all.
Okay, thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to speak or ask a question? Okay, go ahead.
Tyler Grams. I'm at 641 West School Street, and I'm also wondering, like, one, the sidewalks is expensive, and I don't know why I'm gonna come up with the money to do this right now. But is this gonna address any of the lead pipes either? I mean, if you're in there, if you still have houses with lead pipes, I don't get why we still have those going on. Then I'm gonna have to pay again when I have to replace those. It's just ridiculous. And again, our sidewalks are perfectly fine. I don't get why we're ripping them up if they're looking decent. That's what I gotta say.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? All right, Jason, did you want to come up now and answer question?
Public hearing or?
So you want to close it first?
Questions now? I mean, I can do whatever you guys want.
Yeah, that's what I would think. Okay, yeah.
All right, I'll do my best here. I tried writing down questions. Hopefully I captured most of it. So I think the first question that I heard tonight was, why are we paying for city sidewalks as the public? The assessment policy was created back in 2016. And so that was a council decision that was kind of put forth when we do street reconstructions or replacements. That was a policy that was put in place based off of the city ordinance that requires us to replace or to have sidewalks on both sides of the streets. I know there's a couple other questions about conditions of sidewalk. Condition of sidewalk is kind of subjective. It's a little difficult. What we do is if we replace only parts of sidewalks, it becomes more expensive because it's much more labor intensive to form stuff up. So it's actually slightly cheaper to replace larger sections of sidewalk. The policy as it exists today is for the residents to pay half of the cost of the sidewalk. So the city and the taxpayers in general are still paying half of the cost of the sidewalk, except for the portion of sidewalk that's in your driveway apron, because obviously that has to be a thicker piece of sidewalk because the residents are driving across that every day. So again, going back to 2016 when the policy was set, these decisions were all talked about, and that's the direction that obviously the council has moved forward with for many assessments. And so that's kind of the history, just so everybody kind of understands that there is a cost share to the sidewalks where the city is paying half that cost except for in the driveway apron. And that it's kind of been a consistent policy. Now, you're all here tonight talking about this because, you know, the council has to approve this report as it's been prepared. So there certainly is opportunity for things for councils to do, and councils have done other things in the past as a result of giving credits for new sidewalk that was installed. Generally what we do is we want to see some type of a receipt or proof that that was done and what the cost was associated with it, so we can credit that back. We've had people who have replaced sidewalk in the very recent past. So that obviously helps us give credit for that. There has been some consideration, again, given for corner lots or different things in the past for councils, again, and I'm not speaking for this council. But again, those are things that we're talking about at these public hearings. So just to kind of talk a little bit about those questions about the condition of the sidewalk, why is that, how do we do it, why do we do all of it? And I think really kind of centers around some of those things. So I know there was several questions about sidewalks. Hopefully I answered those, and maybe the council has other questions for me here. But that was the kind of the first question or two that I heard was related to sidewalks. There was a question about 600 trees. The way that we prepare this document, and again, you see it up on the screen here, this line item 17 for tree removal, if you look closely at the units, it's not per tree, it's per what we call inch diameter, and that's the size of the tree. So what we do is we take all the trees on the street that we're removing and we add up the size. Now, many of you know there's some very large trees out there that drive this number up. So we put this in there and we decide that as we go through construction, we try and preserve as many of those existing trees as we possibly can, but we have to have a unit cost in here for the contractor. So in reality, it's not 600 trees. There's probably, Sam, do you remember, is there 12, 10? 10, maybe 10 trees that we're taking out as planned currently, but they end up to 600 inches in diameter. So again, we have to have a unit price for that. So the unit price that was quoted at $40 is $40 per inch of that diameter. So again, just a clarification on the tree piece. There's been some questions on sewer services and water services. So as part of this project, again, if you look up here in the blue area, and I think there's also another section if you scroll up a little bit, there's another color here, I think, for the water. We are replacing all of the services in this project. So it'll be all new water main. We're upsizing that water main from a 4-inch to an 8-inch, so there'll be better pressure, better reliability in the system, better fire flow at the hydrants for the fire department, for protection. And also then all new copper services. So we're going to be eliminating if there is any lead in the system. We know that there's been many projects over the last probably 10, 15 years on this street where we have systematically replaced some of the lead on what we call the public side. You own the service from the curb stop or the shutoff in your terrace to your house. And so there could possibly still be some lead that exists there. This project will replace up to that. If we expose lead, we will notify you as residents of your responsibility and obligation to replace that lead surface into your house. We will not go on private property and do it, nor can we legally go on private property and do it, but we will make notifications when we do that. So all the water services will be replaced with new shutoffs. All the sewer laterals will be replaced. Many of those are clay. The main line is generally clay. Those laterals will be replaced. We hook up to the property line to those clay laterals. Generally, these old laterals are 6-inch out of many of your old homes. We take conditions of those laterals and we reconnect to them, and we make any notification to you if there's damage to that lateral or it's in poor condition. So if there's anything that you've had historical issues with, we've had a couple public informational meetings on this project. I know some of you have been there, some of you haven't. But if you had historic issues, let us know. We can help coordinate with plumbers so they can do those replacements the same time we're doing those replacements, and then everything gets new, whether that's a lead service being replaced or a sewer or clay lateral on your private property getting replaced. Again, the city owns and has responsibility for that cost for both of those utility services up to that point, and that's what we'll be replacing as part of this project. So yes, they will be getting replaced. I know there was some concern from people that they weren't. There's another sidewalk question here. I think I kind of covered that, hopefully. There was a question about the zones. So in this report in the back, there's a map that has several zones in. What those zones refer to is the storm sewer assessment specifically. They're not referring to the assessment for any of the other components. Those are all in some of the other tables that are being scrolled through now. The way we do the zones is we do it by benefiting property. So if you look at the zones, there's a small zone over the hill. So if you drive up School Street and you hit the crest on top of the hill and then you go down towards Hibbert, There's a very small section up there where the water does drain back to Hibbert Street. There's some minor repairs that we're going to be upgrading the storm sewer down there that we did. We kind of stubbed some things out in 2020 in preparation from this, but we have to move some inlets around. So there's a very small zone, so that stormwater that runs that direction towards Hibbert Street really only benefits those couple property owners along that street for that section. So that's why the zone is relatively small, the work is small, there's only a couple people that benefit. Everybody from that crest all the way down to Main Street on that section are all downstream, and that's why you're all in one zone, because you all benefit from the storm sewer taking that water in and then running down Main Street and exiting the project. There is another zone from Main Street down to Dickinson Street where all that water drains to Spring Street, kind of in the middle. So that all goes through the middle school playground area and it goes over to Richmond. So there is some stormwater work there. And then there's a little bit of work where there's some benefiting in the green area that comes from Park Avenue down to Dickinson. So the water all drains that way. So what we did, rather than saying the people that benefit, we don't take the storm sewer across the whole project and say that everybody benefits from the total storm sewer. We try and divide it up into areas where the water is actually draining and those people are benefiting from those pipes that are being installed. Now, with the storm sewer, keep in mind, when you look at the policy and the assessment in here, what happens is we add up all these costs for the storm sewer, we divide it up by benefiting area, and then 15% of that total cost gets assessed back to the resident. So again, the city's paying for 85% of all those improvements in that area. So again, keep in mind that there still is a cost there for storm sewer, but that's how the storm sewer is divided up. So it is those different areas, and there are benefiting to those properties involved based on where the drainage goes in this project. So that is kind of the zones or the benefiting area for the storm sewer. And then I think the last comment was about the lead pipes, and I think I covered that. So is there any other questions anybody had, Matt?
Jason, I know one of the questions regarding sidewalks was why. Do you want to talk about the depth of excavation for the new sewer main as well as the water main, and how that requires excavation that is going to impact sidewalks in certain locations, and why those sidewalks have to be replaced because of that excavation work?
Yeah, so again, it varies throughout the project when we're digging down, our trench obviously exposes areas, and where we're crossing with all these sewer laterals. And so really it becomes an exercise of, from the right-of-way line or your property line for most residents exists about anywhere from a foot to 6 inches behind the sidewalk. So everything effectively within that right-of-way we're going to be disturbing as part of this project. And now is the time to go back in and upgrade the sidewalks to be ADA compliant. There's a lot of places they aren't. We can't make every sidewalk ADA compliant, but we do where we can. It is a federal law that we follow ADA compliance. When we're rebuilding these roads, we do have to upgrade those. And so what we do is we effectively come in here and we say we have to take these out. Just because a sidewalk is in relatively good condition doesn't mean, it's not old, right? Like many of these sidewalks in the School Street area are very old. Some of them have been upgraded more recently. I think somebody had talked about that being, 40 years. Some of these sidewalks are relatively old. So this is an exercise. We feel like when we're in there, we're upgrading these sidewalks, we're upgrading the ramps, we're disturbing a lot of this area anyways. And to get everything up to new, when we're done, streets are designed to last at least 40 to 50 years once we walk out of there. They do require maintenance. I'm not going to say like with no maintenance they're going to last forever. But what we'd like to do is get everything new in that corridor to say we don't have to come back to School Street for a long, long time and do any work in the future. If we start doing things like you guys had talked about, not replacing sewer laterals or water services and having to come back and do that, nobody wants that. We want to make sure that we go in, we do what we need to. When we leave, then we're going to be done for a long time.
All right, perfect. Yes, go ahead. Can you come out? Yeah, I'm sorry. So folks on the TV can, or on the recording can hear you.
Gary Tucker, 353 West School Street. My question involves I guess the egress of the sidewalk removal and disturbance of all the property from our property lines from one side of the street to the other. Obviously, this will be impacting the utilities such as the phone lines, the utility poles, and fire hydrants. Are any of those going to be modified, moved, repositioned, relocated as part of this project, since the disturbance will be removing the sidewalks? Those will all be obviously incorporated in that disturbance in there.
Yeah, that is a great question, and you know, the way we approach that is when we design these plans, there are utilities that are outside of the traditional sewer and water pipes. And so what happens is when we design this project, we submitted it to the gas company, which is We Energies, some time ago. And We Energies has gotten back to us. What we do is we tell them what we're doing. Because they're in the public right of way, they're obligated to move their utilities as a result of what we're trying to accomplish. They will be in and they will be upgrading some of the gas facilities in this corridor. So I believe especially on the up side of the project up towards Charles Street, I think there's a couple blocks that they're going to be putting brand new main in, and then they're going to be putting new services into some select houses. They will be reaching out directly to you. That is not our project. They should be starting that soon. I think we're working to try and get a schedule from them right now. So we'll get a notice kicked off when they get into the corridor to start working. We want them in and we want them out. That's the gas company. And when it comes to the other utilities, so cable, phone, internet is all overhead on the poles with electric. They're joint services. And so when we do these type of projects, what we do is we go through, and as we redo ramps at intersections, as we look at driveways, as we look at things through the corridor, we are moving poles strategically as we go. Not every pole gets relocated, but the one in front of your house is going to get moved. We have that on the list. We're going to fix that. We're going to get your apron straightened out. We're going to do that for your property. As we get down closer to the school, if anybody had kind of looked at the plans or been at the public informational meetings, you know that we've been coordinating with the school to kind of add some drop-off lanes in there to help with some of the traffic movement through that corridor, just because it gets so narrow down by the school. And if I know you all drive that at certain times of the day with cars on both sides and kids down there, it gets very congested. We're going to push out and kind of put a drop-off lane or like a parking lane where people can get off the road to keep that a little wider for safety reasons through there. In those locations, we're going to take those overhead utilities and we're going to bury them. So essentially along the school frontage through there, where we're going to push out the drop-off lanes across from Spring Street, that area we are going to go underground with those. And so we are working with the local utility for the electric, and then they're going joint with some of the other utilities, and they're fully aware of that. So we have that scheduled and planned right now to do those improvements as we get the project kicked off. So we'll kind of use the project as we go along as a case-by-case basis, but I think we've covered most of the pole removals. Hydrants, a lot of the hydrants get flipped. And what I mean by that is the way we build water main is there's an old water main right now that's going to be on the, say, north side of the road, kind of under the curb. We have to leave that in place. I mean, we don't want to shut you guys off as we're building this. This project's going to take many months. So what we do is we go to the opposite side of the street and we build a new water main. Well, it doesn't make sense to keep the hydrant on the same side of the street, because then we have a super long extension to run out to that hydrant. It's more expensive, doesn't make sense. So what we generally do is we flip the hydrants. So the hydrants will be positioned, we try to put them on property lines. We don't want them in middle lots. We try and keep them at intersections where we can. So obviously that's kind of the standard to keep them there. So we will be moving some hydrants around into new locations, but again, I think we've kind of worked with where to put those things. And then I think, not to get too much into this, but the last thing is, out of those trees we're removing, we are going to be planting trees back in. So I know at the public meetings, we talked to people that were there and said, if you want a tree, let us know. We'll get you on a list. We're taking 10 out. We're going to at least put 10 back in, sometimes more. The one thing we have to avoid is we will not plant trees on top of water services or sewer services. We don't want that to be a long-term issue for you. It's bad practice. We will not plant trees under the overhead lines. Even though they might be small trees, they grow up and they need to be pruned and trimmed and cause outages when the wind blows hard and things like that. So again, just thinking ahead to the project, knowing the utilities in this corridor have a lot of things that they have to interact with as we go. And so we're doing our best to make sure that we're accounting for, those separations and driveways and constructability and, tree planting and things like that. So we've been kind of working on a plan where we think we have a good solution for that.
Any other questions? Yeah, go ahead.
Tyler Grams again, and I just want to get clarification. So if we do have lead pipes or sewer lines that are inadequate, not only are we going to have this cost, but we can't hook those lead lines back up, so we're going to have another expense, and there's nothing we can do.
Any other questions? Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to say I stand corrected. It wasn't an incorrect address.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
I will say that if there is something in here that you do think is incorrect, it is stamped draft. I'm not perfect, nor is our team. We do get information off of the county website that isn't always accurate or up to date either. So that's the perfect feedback that we can get, is if something doesn't feel right or look right from an address standpoint or a name. I know there's some properties that change hands sometimes during these projects. We might have a preliminary draft with an address on, a home gets sold, now we have to update that for the final assessment as well. So that's why it's stamped draft. We spend a lot of time trying to make sure that we dotted the i's and crossed the t's on this, but if there is something in there, please get that back to us, because we do want to make sure that it is correct.
Go ahead. Name and address, please.
Alan Galston, 347 South
Oh, you were
Charles.
already up there,
I have
sorry.
3 trees on my tree border that don't grow any grass underneath them. I just wanted, are you gonna take any of those trees out? Or if I do want one taken out, how much is that gonna cost me? Well, it's an eyesore.
Yeah.
For me anyway.
Sure.
So.
Great question. What I would typically say is, it's very difficult when we do these. Yeah, okay. We'll hit it by accident. No, just kidding.
We'll hit it by
What I can
accident.
tell you is that some people love trees and some people hate trees. It's a very polarizing thing when we do these projects. And what we try and do our best is to retain the trees that we can, but understand when we are digging services into front yards and, to the property line, a lot of times there are trees that need to come down. We try and assess trees that are older, that might be rotten or damaged, even if they don't physically appear that way. A lot of times arborists will tell us that this tree is going to be a problem, because it's rotting in the core or something. But if there's trees that are there that we're not disturbing, that don't need to come out, generally we leave them, because they are street trees, they are in the terraces. I would say that's probably more of a question for Public Works. Is there a tree we can remove and replace one? I would work with them to see if there's something you can do there or take it out entirely. But generally the practice is we try and save as many as we can, and just, deal with the ones that we need to, so.
Any other questions? Yeah, come on up.
I didn't properly introduce myself before. I'm Judy Montefiore at 352 South Luddington. I have a question about how long we have to pay this money, because a lot of us are strapped. And, in the case of this lovely lady over here that has got so much to pay, that's a lot of money to come up with out of nowhere. I know for ourselves, we are single-family income at this time because of medical reasons. Somebody else may have similar problems. I just want to know how long we have to pay this, because it's not exactly easy or feasible for some of us.
You want that one, or you want me to?
I don't think this is engineering.
You're right. It's not. My belief on this, and I will double check. You're given options in terms of when the final report, you get options on paying it all or stretching it out over a number of years. And I believe the council has granted up to 10 years in the past for large assessments, and I believe it's up to 5 years is the you can go 2, 3, or 5. Does that sound right? Okay, we'll double check and get that information out.
It was at least 10 on the high end. It might have even
Trina.
been. Oh, sorry. Thank you. It was at least 10 years on the high end. It might have even been 15 if someone had an extremely large assessment.
Alder Rosted?
I know this ain't engineering, so sorry, I'm gonna chime in here. Been doing this for a while. What I can tell you is just in the process of how this works, this is the public hearing tonight with the preliminary report. So the council will close this public hearing, assuming there's no further questions. They have on the next agenda to take action on the preliminary report, which is essentially to discuss anything they want to change on the report or give me direction to go back and revise it and or approve it as is, right? Okay, that's the direction that I get. I go back, if it's approved or when it's approved, whether that's tonight's meeting or a future meeting, I finalize it. And, well, finalize it in terms of preliminary. I put my stamp on it, I sign off on it, and I say, okay, we got all the correct information in here. We've made any changes or revisions or no revisions, it is the way it is, it's final. We then start the project. The project's gonna run all summer long. It's a big project, you know, I don't know exactly when we have a start or end date just yet. We'll get that here in the very near future. We'll get that information out to you all. It's likely this project's gonna run into October, and we'll probably be finishing up. Now, that doesn't mean we're gonna be working in front of your house all summer. It just means it's a big project. We're gonna be working somewhere within the project, doing something. What I would tell you is that when the project is done, we have to update the report. So right now, when I'm estimating your driveway is 200 square feet as far as your apron size, if we build it at 190, we assess you for 190. We come back, we adjust it, your cost goes down. And so if you come to us when we're pouring your driveway and want 10 more feet on your driveway width, and then your square footage goes up, we come back at the end of the job and we readjust that, and then your cost goes up. So the final report, once the contractor's done, the project is over, we go out, we remeasure everything to make sure it's accurate. What you see in the report now is only estimates. It's a design on a plan. It's not physical built. We measure everything up at the end, and we come back before the council later in the year, and we tell them, here is the final report with all of the measured information in and all the updated information in. And so then that gets approved. Once that final report is approved, that's when the assessment theoretically goes into effect for everybody, and then that's when the payments are due and the payment plans start. So I just wanted everybody to know, like, once this report is approved tonight or in the near future, it's just in place as a temporary placeholder until we get the job done, which will be late this year. So theoretically, you know, I don't even know if this assessment will hit yet. You know, by the time the report's done and everything, will we still even get it into 26, or would this report even come into 27? So I just want people to understand, reality is, we're sitting here talking about these special assessments, but there is a time period before there's actually payment due, and then there's a payment schedule that you can arrange with the city based off of the options. And when we approve the final, generally the resolution to approve the final has those repayment options included in that, so it's documented and everybody's aware of what those are.
These numbers we're looking at, are they fixed? The numbers that we have, that we're looking at, that everything is costing, are those fixed numbers?
The unit prices are fixed. So if there is a $7 per square foot for sidewalk, that's a fixed cost. That does not change. The contractor will charge us $7. What's not fixed is the amount of sidewalk that gets replaced. Now, sidewalk is pretty straightforward because you're being assessed on your frontage. So if your frontage is 50 feet, that's a fixed cost in essence, even though driveway aprons are the ones that vary, right? I get a lot of this, when I do these, I get a lot of homeowners that come out and say, you know, I wish my apron was a little wider. And I always remind them, you know, widening it adds to your assessment, but we do it, and people will want that. And so that's where the driveway aprons usually have some variability to it. The storm sewer usually has some variability to it. We might have a few more feet of pipe if we have to shift a manhole to tie into something or do something a little different. So there is some variability in the quantity of stuff, but the pricing, the unit prices, that's fixed. So we're not gonna see a spike because oil went up or anything, because we're locked in on that stuff. So for now, it's really just kind of fixing it. I'll be honest with you, my goal is always to try and bring estimates in below. For most people, it doesn't always work, you know, but we're trying to be very conscientious of what we're doing out there, and we're not trying to just, unilaterally add cost to the project. We're making good decisions when somebody says we should do this or we should change that, just to make sure it's clear for everybody, so. We're doing our best to keep it as close as we can.
Alder Rustad?
I don't know if we want to do it here or in the council, but 105 South Dickinson, I think it needs to be 105 North Dickinson Boulevard.
Okay. Mayor?
Just a comment to the fellow that asked about the lead. You can double check with the utility. Randy, I'm not sure where things stand with DNR grants currently, but for a while there was money available through the DNR. But it's a hit and miss whether and a lot of it depends on how much money they get from the EPA. So, but that is a possibility, so.
Alder Reed?
Oh, thank you. I just had a question on any possible financial mitigational situation. I'm remembering from previous council how we had sort of not exactly a discount, but if someone had two properties, we gave a lower price on, so not two properties. If someone had a corner lot, we gave a lower price if they had, two streets being worked on at the same time. I don't know if it's been too long to make that kind of consideration. And the other thing I was wondering about was on sidewalks. I do remember council crediting a sidewalk that had just been replaced, but it was an extremely young sidewalk. So just wanting to look into any possibilities.
I think two things regarding that I heard is Jason indicated that if residents have recently replaced sidewalk, there is a process to submit proof of that with cost, and that Jason will work at the council's direction to provide credits as we've done in the past in those situations. I think the other thing that you're referencing is I know in 2020 when Hibbard was done, there was a reduction for corner lots, and as Mrs. Motive mentioned, that applied to them. And do you want to talk through what was done so that if council wants to consider doing something similar and consistent, that they can discuss that during the council portion?
Yeah, so, again, I can say we've been doing this for a long time. The policy that we have now kind of went into place 10 years ago. And we've done assessments almost annually, or for sure every other year on these type of projects. So we do run across every once in a while, and some of you I recognize are being part of some of those old assessment decisions. Some of you are a little newer to that. And so what the councils in the past have discussed has been, if we have a lot, a corner lot specifically, and we're redoing the streets on both sides of that lot. Now, if, let's just say they have 100 feet on one side and 50 feet on the other, they have 150 feet of sidewalk to replace. The council has given some kind of a credit, and I don't recall exactly what that is, but they've directed me to say, go back and look, and maybe we can reduce the cost for one. I think it's always the shorter side. The council has said, well, let's give a credit on the shorter side, and I don't remember what that credit is. If it's 25% or whatever. But we in the past we've done things like that before. In Hibbert, it was a little different because we had 4 properties in total, one being the person who's here tonight, where the property fronted both Hibbert and Charles. So they had property on both sides of the block, and there was not sidewalk on the back side, but there was on the front side. So the idea wasn't, they weren't corner lots, but they were actually lots where they were putting sidewalk on the back of their property. So, it's a little weird to think about most people's yards back up to another property, but in these cases, it was 2 street frontages. And at the time, the council in 2020 decided to waive the cost for that backyard sidewalk. And keep in mind, I think the decision was made predicated off the fact that sidewalk was only put in on one side of Hibbert just due to the costs and the logistics of constructability. we would have to have some very large, expensive retaining walls to do it on both sides. And so the design direction was to only put it on one side. What we do when we put sidewalk on one side is we split the 50% cost share across the street to the other side, so residents only get 25% then. And so I think the council decided, because of that 25% cost share, I recall the council saying that we would waive it for the backyard lots that had sidewalk in the back. So that's different than a corner lot, but again, I don't think that applies here because we don't have any that front on both sides of a street, but we do have some corner lots. I think there's two in particular that were affected by Hibbert Street, and I don't believe there's anybody else being affected by sidewalk on two sides of their lot. So it's just to be the two Hibbert properties on the very corner that had assessed in 2020 that would be assessed again for sidewalk on their lot for this project. So the question becomes, the credit's been given to Matt's point when there's frontage on both sides in the same project, but then the question becomes, is there consideration given, being that, 2020 was 6 years ago versus today, and it's essentially newer sidewalk, obviously. So that's, I think, a little bit for thought.
Okay. Any other questions? Yep, go ahead. Oh, go ahead. He let you go first.
My name is Jennifer Youngenberg, and the address is 335 West School Street. So it's not right next to the school, but the next one in. The house was just purchased in 2020, and at that time, it had a shared driveway, which we chose to split as we were buying the property. And at that time, we had installed a brand-new apron, sidewalk, and approach, because it was a driveway that was concrete to a certain point, and then gravel the rest of the way. We also have a large utility pole that's right next to the sidewalk, that I'm guessing will have to be moved. So, I'm just wondering, it's a sidewalk and approach that's 6 years old. And obviously it's going to be torn and pushed back because of the parking lane, I'm guessing. And that pole is gonna have to be moved as well. So, I don't know what that will look like for our assessment.
I think what I would suggest is, if you have any documentation of that work, whether it's an email or a receipt or some kind of a quote, please provide it to the city. I think 5 years is probably, 5-6 years is probably within what we would call some kind of a useful credit. We're not going to look at stuff that's 10 or 15 years out, but, I think that's certainly recent enough. It has kind of been the threshold of what we've looked at in that 5-6 year range as being kind of the limit. But I think certainly there is something that we could look at, for a credit if the council so directed me to kind of follow through on it and apply something to the assessment. I could do that.
Okay. Alderesta, did you have something to add to that?
Well,
or
do we have a way to measure or to gauge the life? Like, I know, obviously concrete has a life expectancy versus blacktop, but is there a policy in the city for these credits that, in my eyes, 10 years of concrete, there's plenty of life left?
Yep.
So, I don't want to push this project back any further, but I think we need a policy or need something to justify a credit back on life expectancy of said material that they had put in, if it's possible.
Yeah, so great comment, and I love that because, otherwise I'm the policy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's subjective to the engineer, and now I have to make a logical, educated decision. So to your question is, what's the useful life of concrete? Well, who poured it? How was it poured? How deep was it? Was it inspected? Did they have a driveway permit from the city to document it, followed our standard specifications? So those are all the things where now I feel like, you know, somebody just went out there with some Quikrete and mixed it up and slopped it out of a wheelbarrow, I mean, it could crack, right? So now this isn't what I would call professionally done commercial concrete that would last for 40 years. So now that's kind of really the impetus of give me something so I know it was a legitimate contractor. I will go out and look at it and determine, like, does this look like a professional job? Does it meet the standards of the city in practice? And then that's where we can start applying a credit back. So it's hard to say there's a policy because there's so many variables in it and it becomes subjective. So I've always done my best to say, let's try to do our best to find a credit if we have a situation like this. It might only be 10% or 20% or something. It's not going to be 80 or 90 or 100%, but we can do something, I think, given the fact that there was effort put in there. Somebody tried to improve their driveway. They invested some cost in it, and it's a short enough duration where we feel like even poor concrete still has some benefit. And, you know, if it's done well, we can give some credit to that. So again, if we have a way of putting something down, I'd love that, so I don't have to be kind of the judge on that. But I have been in the past, and I think people have appreciated it, and we usually come up with a number that we feel is defensible, if you will.
Alder Meyer?
I'll go on the record and say I want you to be the judge of that. I don't want to make that decision. So if we were to approve the assessment as presented tonight, are credits still able to be issued after, because it's not technically the final assessment?
I would say if you guys have some direction that you want me to go back, I would say do that tonight and give me some direction to go back and make some edits. If you want to consider a credit, if you want to look at the sidewalks, and if there's something you want to do there, give me some direction. I think tonight you don't have to approve it. It's not intimate that we have to approve it tonight. I will go back and revise it. I can bring it to the next meeting with the revisions in so everybody can see it again and understand what did this look like, what happened, and that way you guys can then take action on it once you get a chance to look at the revisions. And that's historically, we've had these go 3 or 4 rounds. I don't like that, but we've had you guys say, keep trying, Jason, and we keep trying and we keep coming back until we get it to where everybody's comfortable with it. So not an obligation to approve it tonight, but I would certainly want some direction back as to what you're expecting so I can revise it and bring it back.
I would just add that I will work with Jason on drafting a credit policy to include with assessments so that there is some structure for Jason to follow, and it's going to mirror what he's done previously and bring that back for you guys to adopt
Awesome.
or provide direction on.
Thank you. Did you have something to add to that? Or are you still thinking?
Okay, so this isn't for you. I just want to make sure if we do not approve this tonight, we can add credits. If we approve it tonight, we cannot add credits, correct? Or incorrect?
I heard it's easier if you would like that flexibility to send it back to Jason to work on it tonight, is what I heard.
Okay.
Any other questions? Go ahead.
Gary Tucker, 353 West School Street again. In regards to, I know the scope of the project, you said you don't have a definitive start and end date on there. Can we also expect that the entirety of the road will be pretty much torn up for the majority of the center of the summer, so to speak, or if there will be certain phases of the deconstruction and reconstruction on it? And then as part of the reconstruction process, after the curb and gutter and the sidewalks are poured, as far as the green space in between those two, the easement, so to speak, if those will be properly graded, seeded, or if they will be sodded out, or whatever steps that may be taken on those portions of it.
So what I can tell you is that I would expect to award the bid to the contractor based off the information you saw up here at our April 21st meeting. That is the plan as of now. We were hoping to do it tonight, but we're still kind of working through some logistics with one of the grants that we've applied for. We're not quite sure. We're waiting for the DOT to make some announcements on that. And so there is some things that we can't do legally if we want to still stay eligible for some of that. Now, with that being said, I don't have a contractor for a schedule from the contractor because we haven't told him it's his project yet. So I would guess as soon as we award it, that the intent would be, I would expect some kind of a kickoff in May. Now, with that being said, expect the gas company to be ahead of them. So you'll probably see some work starting in that corridor sooner than that, probably in the next few weeks or something. I'm hoping to have the gas company out there. The contractor is only allowed to start at Main Street and work up the hill first. And the logistics behind that is because of the operations of the school still in session. So we want to make sure that we're not having backhoes and tearing up the road down by the middle school when we have people coming in and out of there. It's chaos enough, if you guys know. We don't need to add any more. So they will be working up the hill. Logistically, the order would be replace the sanitary, replace the water main, come back, do all the services. So they're gonna spend time going from Main Street up the hill. That's gonna occupy them for quite a while. They'll probably be doing that for a month or two. Then we would expect them to flip down and do the other piece down by the school and work on that. At one point, they're gonna try and maintain the pavement in place, if you can call School Street pavement, in place as much as they can whilst they're doing the work. At some point, they're just gonna have to rip it all out. And I don't know if they're gonna rebuild the road on the uphill side when they flip down to the school, but at some point, they're not, I don't know how they're gonna mobilize and do the curbs, so if they're gonna do the curbs in pieces, but I would envision that ultimately, they're not gonna have, probably gonna do all the paving at once at the end, so there's gonna be gravel down. Now, they will have to make sure they maintain access from emergency vehicles and you guys getting in and out of your properties. Now, when I tell people this in the public meetings, some of you were in that, I always say, it's not 100%. They have to dig past your driveway. If you have to leave and you see them coming down the street, let them know, I gotta get out this morning, I gotta get in tonight, whatever that might be. They'll accommodate. Contractors are very good about it if they know. Don't assume they can read your mind. Don't sit in the car and honk your horn at them. We gotta make sure we're communicating. We'll have inspectors out there on behalf of the city that can help coordinate that. Once that phase is all done, we will come back and we will restore all the terraces and any of the tie-ins behind the sidewalk that gets disturbed. Generally, it's just a very small area. We'll do all of that at the end of the project. Generally, we put down brand new topsoil, we put down seed, and then we usually put an erosion mat on top of that to hold everything in place. If we just put straw on, as much wind as we've had lately, it's gone. Now with that, there's a 1-year warranty period, so I always tell people, and I know we're getting a little public informational meeting here, but if your grass doesn't grow next fall when we put it down, or even if it doesn't come in right in the spring, they have to come back and fix that. So again, we want to hear that. If there's a crack in your sidewalk or your driveway apron or something you paid for, we will come back, they will replace that, it's under warranty. But again, those are logistics once we get done with the project. So again, there'll be pieces of time when it'll seem like chaos and a bomb going off around your property, and there'll be times where you may not even see the contractor for a while. They might be down on the other end of the street for a month, and it'll be quiet down by you. So again, big project, a lot of logistics going on. Things change. We have weekly meetings out there. We talk about what we've done, what we're doing, what are the issues, what do we need to resolve. So again, if we're getting information or feedback from you guys, we're able to make sure that we're communicating that on a weekly basis with the contractor too. So again, we have a pretty good system in place once we're operational. But again, we understand it is very stressful for everybody for a while, but we do our best to try and help work around as much as we can. So.
Gary Tucker, 353 West School Street. Back with the utility interruptions and stuff, obviously with the gas lines being disturbed, the water mains being disturbed, sanitary being disturbed as well, will we have either daytime hours or will there be days at a time that the service may be interrupted for those services, and then what kind of notice will we get for those disruptions of the service as the project goes on?
Yeah. So contractors are required to give, I believe, 48-hour notice for any shutoff for water. Sewers, you really don't get a notice because they make those connections live. So they're just making that connection. Most of the time your sewer's not running anyways. All of that work is being done during the day. The trick is that there are accidents. Stuff happens, right? Like I've said this, and then all of a sudden at 5 o'clock on a Tuesday, the contractor hits a water main as he's finishing up. We got to shut everybody off. People come running out of their house and start yelling at Jason. And I'm like, hold on. If we knew this was going to happen, we wouldn't be here either, right? We would have done it programmed. So anyways, long story short, yes, there is a policy for making all those notifications. Gas we do not do. That will be coordinated through the gas company, but anything else, Interruptions for water will be very brief. Generally, it's only a couple hour period. We can generally get hookups, sewer laterals and hookups, or water services and hookups made in a couple hours. Again, you'll get notice of that. We can schedule that, especially if there's people with special needs or something, just let us know. We can work around that as well. But there is a short cutoff period or cutover period on that as well. So again, trying to minimize as much disruption as we can, so.
Any other questions?
Just ask you, you're standing here. Yeah. Alan Galston, 347 South Charles. The water, when it gets replaced, are we gonna have to flush the water when it comes through, or what's the program on that?
Yeah, so another good question. Normally what happens is we come in and replace the water. We generally tell people once we hook it back up, there might be a little brown water just from, the hydrant and the connection going on. We ask people, potentially just run their faucets for a few minutes. I can confirm that with the water utility to see what their recommendation is. In rare occasions, we do have on some of the, again, we're replacing new, but if your pipe's old to the house and you're not replacing it, sometimes some of that gets agitated. You might get a little rust or some flex in your stuff. Sometimes it gets stuck in the aerator screens of your faucets. People come running out, say, I got no water. And it's like, well, let's check your screens. We take them off. All of a sudden, we dump it out. There's a whole bunch of rust that falls out of it. We put it back on. It works fine. So there is a few things that we can help with to kind of just help educate people when we do that cutover. I would say 80 to 90% of the time there's zero or no issues. But again, you might see a little staining in the water. It might sit in your toilet when you flush it once or twice. It'll go away. It just needs to get through the system. And then again, just be aware that, there are some aerators that we tend to have people clean out, and a lot of times that'll take care of it.
We do flush the lines too, when, the project's completed.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, there's an overall flush too. So we gotta pressure test it and safe sample test it to make sure that there's no bacteria or anything in it. We get those safe samples back. We make the connections back in. So again, there's a bunch of opportunities there to make sure that we're getting the flush. But inevitably, depending on where you are, again, you might see some of that. Again, not a big issue, but it does come up from time to time. And we're happy to help. If somebody here has an issue, come out and talk to us. We can look into it. We can determine what's going on for you. We're not plumbers, but we can at least give you some direction.
Anyone else? Yeah, come on up.
You have the record for questions tonight.
Are people
Gary
paying
Tucker,
you to ask
353
questions? I'm
West
just
School
kidding.
So my final question here will be pertaining to the cost. In the very front of the packet, it gave a total project cost on there, but then there's also more broken down prices in there. Are those costs all going to be added up in the end, or is it the initial number in the first page on there that gave the total cost breakdown as to the estimated cost that we will be looking at as far as that goes?
So there's a bunch of schedules that he's flipping through now. So those just support and roll up into the one spreadsheet. That's the assessment spreadsheet. So that spreadsheet, the columns that you see on the right, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, there's 6 or 7 of them there. There's several of you that don't have assessments in some of those columns. Like if you don't have a driveway apron, let's say you live on a corner lot and your driveway comes off of Birdsey Street, right? Now you don't have a driveway apron assessed. So again, this is the total that has, your total in. So if you look at that preliminary total column kind of in the middle, the first tall column, that's going to be the number that you can expect to see at the end of the project. And then all of that other stuff is supporting information that feeds into this spreadsheet. So this is, if you will, the important one that contains the information that most people want to know. Kind of all summarized in one spot.
All right, any other questions?
So we get a year.
Yep, can you come up, please? Sorry.
Teresa Vick, 552 West School. So you're saying we get a year warranty from the time the access from like the road, the green space there? I question because so much settling. Walk my property, you'll understand what I'm going to talk about. I have dips and stuff, the settling that goes on in there. And I've had trees removed, they filled in, it's still really rough. And I've called city works, hey, come out, do something, and it doesn't get done. So we get a year, if that settles, the grass doesn't grow, I'm not covering that cost.
Yeah. So as part of a project like this, we have the contractor responsible for hiring a compaction tester. So we need to make sure that they're compacting the soil so we don't see that settlement. I'm not saying it's gonna work 100% of the time, but we're pretty good at this. We've been doing it. We don't see a lot of settlement issues. We also, for backfill materials, for when the work we're doing, we're putting granular stone material that's compactable under there. A lot of the clay soils aren't very compactable. That's where you see your settlement. So again, the specifications that we use, that we require the contractor to prove that he's done that, are all in place to protect from those exact things. With that being said, it's not perfect. So we give it a year warranty, so they have to come back and fix anything. If it's something bad in the asphalt, if there's a sinkhole in the road, if there's a collapsed pipe, if there's, there could be infinite amount of things. We determine when that year period starts. So we have to walk the project, let's just say it's October 15th, and we walk out there and we say, the project's we call it substantially complete. It's substantially complete. We issue a notice to the contractor. That begins the 12-month period. So even though they've been working on it all summer, the warranty period will start when we deem it to start at the end of the project. So then it would be October 15th of 27 is when, if there's any issues that come up, any cracked concrete, anything that we identify that was not tied to a snowplow crashing into a curb, for example, or maybe there's something that happened that you, the homeowner, caused. One of my famous things that I tell you guys is the first year green concrete does not like salt. So don't go out there and dump a whole bunch of ice melt on your sidewalk like crazy, because what'll happen is it'll spall off. And then if you come back to me and say, well, that's under warranty, we'll send out a notice at the end to tell you what's the best treatment for ice melt to use on your new sidewalk. We'll send that to you just so you kind of know. And so if you're not using that or whatever and you see the damage, we're not going to consider that warranty. But most everything else we've done is all covered under warranty. So again, there are a few exceptions to the warranty, but for the most part, that will be the warranty that's in place for this project.
So you'll have an inspector on the job all the time?
Yes.
Making sure that everything's compacted?
Yes, we will make sure the contractor is following the specifications. The other good thing to know is, although we haven't awarded the project, the contractor that's the low bidder that you see the pricing from now has been working in Columbus doing work with us since 2007. So we know them very well. They've done a great job. They know what to expect from us, as inspectors and as city staff, what we need completed. And again, so they've been great with residents, and so we feel very confident we have a good contractor lined up that we're prepared to award to. So it should help with the success of the project.
Any other questions? Anyone have any questions? All right, third and final time. Any questions? All right, any further questions from council? All right, then I will close the public hearing. Thank you, everyone. All right, next I'll be looking for approval for tonight's agenda.
So move.
I'll second.
Yeah.
Why did they leave when it's on the council?
So we're going to approve it.
If we need to continue on with the meeting, so if you could carry your conversations out in the hall, appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, we have, for approval of tonight's agenda, we have first from Alder Meyer and a second from Alder Rolke. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, next we have public comment. Ruth?
Well, this will go into the next meeting.
Oh, you don't, oh yeah, that's right. This goes, because that didn't need to go. Never mind.
Right.
Can you hand that to Joe? That's not me. All right, we have
Good
no.
catch, Joe.
Oh, you did sign up for this meeting one? Do we have another one? Okay. All right. You in fact did sign up for this, so you can come up and chat.
Kelly Crombie, Crombie Law Office, 1082 Park Avenue in Columbus. As I read the RFP for municipal attorney services over the weekend, I thought that maybe the city should consider at least allowing for the possibility of splitting municipal prosecution into a separate firm from the general counsel type services. The city has very specialized legal needs, particularly with the electric utility that we have. And that kind of leads itself to one of the larger Madison firms, potentially. And then with the larger Madison firms, they're not going to be as interested in prosecuting municipal citations, and the expense would be a lot higher than more local firms, I think. So just something you might want to consider to allow for that possibility. When a speeding ticket is, I think, $98.50, about the cost of prosecuting that ticket gets high fast, and then the the juice isn't worth the squeeze, if you will, and they just get dismissed because, from the city's point of view, and I have that in my own regular day job at Fox Lake, it's, at some point it's not worth prosecuting tickets when you're going to pay $800 in legal bills for a speeding ticket. So just thought I would throw my 2 cents out there on that. I think it's a nickel now because there's no more pennies.
All right. That was all for public comment, so we can head on over to new business. First one, discussion of Wisconsin Department of Transportation Columbus Fall River Functional Class Resolution. Who's speaking on that?
Here.
Oh.
All righty. Our friends at the Department of Transportation do planning on an ongoing basis, and from time to time they bring a functional map to the city for approval. They use these maps to determine maintenance and grants and funding and all that kind of stuff. It's a pretty routine thing, so they're looking for approval of this functional class map. Everything looks in line from my review of the map.
Alder Meyer? Mayor, did you have something to?
Oh, no.
Am I ignoring you too? Okay, perfect. Does anybody have any questions, or are we good moving this forward? Okay, perfect. Next, discussion of request for proposals RFP related to legal services. Matt?
I've drafted the RFP in the packet. For those of you that weren't aware, it's Paul Johnson's intent to retire at the end of the year. His firm, Boardman Clark, is reducing the amount of municipalities they cover, and it's likely that they would not respond to this RFP. There are another number of other firms that do municipal work in the area. The one thing that I'd be asking for some discussion or consideration is, I think Kelly Crombie's brought up a good point, that we could open some language and include a simple paragraph or even a couple of sentences that would allow I don't want to say smaller, but maybe some other consideration that would allow for either splitting, as Kelly's indicated, or even the concept of an attorney working as a city employee. There are communities that do that where the attorney is considered a city employee. It creates known cost, but it would allow a single attorney to submit a proposal to essentially serve as our city attorney either contractually or as, to be considered as a city employee, would allow greater opportunities for a variety of submissions. It then does create maybe a tougher process in selecting, but it keeps all options open.
Alder Meyer?
So I'm not opposed to what the city administrator has mentioned, but what I will say I 100% support is editing this RFP to allow the city to pick two separate law firms to allow us to hire and save money on prosecution of those speeding tickets, those municipal citations. Everything that Kelly said, it's fiscally irresponsible to charge $800 to make 98 bucks and 50 cents on a speeding ticket. So whatever we can do to cut the costs there and bring it local, I think we will get the exact same benefit service at a local level versus these large firms. But I would prefer to lean with hiring the larger attorney firm for the main services and then split it off for prosecution of the municipal citations to potentially a local vendor.
Alder Rostad?
Question I have is, when is our contract up with Paul's firm? End of 26?
Apologize. I think that's a annual renewal, that there's a notice that we can provide to get out of that, same as they can. Those are usually 30-day in advance of the termination of the contract, that one party notices the other, otherwise they self-renew. And a lot of our agreements are that way. My intent would be is to set up future contracts on 3 or 5 year revolving, I'm sorry, not revolving, but a 3 or 5 year agreement, and that we get in the process of going out for RFP on a more consistent basis. I just want to avoid having some of these major services that work, like, whether that be IT, attorney, engineering, I want to get in a rotation where we're not doing more than one a year, if that makes sense.
And so then, if Paul doesn't retire, what's the chance Borman Clark would drop us? Because that's the reason we're looking theoretically, right? We're thinking Paul's going to retire.
I intended to do this for next year anyway, to get legal services on this rotational review. And I think Jason's not in the room, but he's aware that I intend to do the same with engineering next year, just so that the council gets a view on what rates are, where things are at, and just make sure that we're staying current with the market. So I'm and the mayor's aware, Paul's pretty intent on retiring at the end of the year. So I don't think that's going to be an issue, but the idea is that we are going out for requests for service. If Boardman Clark wants to submit, they clearly can. Paul's indicated that that's highly unlikely. For some reason, there aren't attorneys coming into the legal world that want to do municipal work. Can't imagine why, but that is a concern that Paul has shared.
Yeah, I like the rotation. It actually keeps people honest, firms honest as well, and keeps council informed and citizens. The only other question being an RFP, I know there's language in here, we don't have to accept any, but are we subject to low bid when it goes to an RFP?
The only time we're subject to low bid is construction costs that exceed $25,000. We're required to go to bid, and you're required to accept low. Any proposal, and there's language that gives the council the right to refuse any submission. It's a qualification-based selection with usually cost enters that equation as well. You're balancing what you view the quality of service with the potential cost for that service.
Any other discussion on this? Do you have what you need, Matt? All right.
Oh, quick
perfect.
question.
Oh,
thank you.
sorry about that.
Hi. I was just wondering if we were going to put in a little bit of language for the possibility of splitting the service if we were going to take a possible, local attorney.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I was hoping we could add in just like a little sentence or two.
I'd ask that if this moves forward to council and you want to approve the RFP, to do so with directing me to add in that language.
It's not.
It's not on,
It's
I was
not
just gonna-
going
it's
to
not on the
council, though.
council packet.
That's why I was wondering if you had everything you needed, because it's not going to council.
For next time?
I was just looking to see.
Well, if that's the case, if that's the case, it's a mistake, and we'll make sure to bring it back on the 21st.
And you have everything you need to make those inclusions too? Okay,
Yep.
perfect.
Yep.
All right. Anything else on this? All right. Next is discussion regarding the award of bid for West School Street reconstruction to Forest Landscaping in the amount of $2,755,700. Matt?
Jason alluded to this during the public hearing. We've been awaiting word from the DOT regarding a local road improvement grant that we submitted, or LRIP, if you're familiar with the DOT's terminology. We have been told by the DOT that we are likely to have that grant agreement by the end of next week. We were hopeful to have it by today so that you could approve this. We do not have it, and so therefore I'm asking that you take no action on this item tonight or on item number 4. It will be our intent to have these on the April 21st agenda.
Alder Rustic?
And that's not gonna, 2 weeks isn't gonna affect anything substantial, correct? Or do we need a special meeting to get these approved?
If we thought we were going to have them from the DOT in time, but realized next Wednesday at noon's their deadline to get on next week's agenda, technically, I'm going to hold that as long as I can, because we'll probably do the same thing that we did this time without having them. We're going to put them on and hope that we have it in hand the day of the council meeting.
Okay.
The risk we run, and this has been shared with our state representatives, is we're delaying work on a project that is sensitive with a school site. And we're trying to share that the delay in these award announcements, from what I'm being told, is not at the DOT. It's in our elected officials fighting for their areas they represent. And so, just trying to ensure that our representatives understand how this impacts our ability to award projects. And that Jason shared, it's no secret, our low bidder here is Forest Landscape and Construction, who's done a lot of work in Columbus. They want to do work here. We're grateful for that. But at some point, they will, if we don't award this, they're gonna, get a little nervous here. So I don't think we're jeopardizing the project or anything like that. But again, if weather's good in 2 weeks, I'm sure they're gonna want to be moving forward and mobilizing for the work to start.
And unfortunately, in 2020, we went through the same thing. Waited on the DOT to give the final approval. And so.
Alder Rustic?
Well, just for the record, for people that will watch the recording, what is the funding we're anticipating from LRIP? So they know why we're trying to delay it, or no, we're not trying to delay it, but
Jason's estimated award notice, or what he was anticipating, was somewhere in the $500,000 to $600,000 range. The initial number that I'm not going to say is higher than that, but we are waiting. I'm not going to say a number until we have an agreement in hand.
All right, anything more on this? All right, the next one is the task order for that Matt is also asking us to not take action on. Anything on that? All right, perfect. Then next, we have convened to close session per 19.851C to consider employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility, specifically the utility director's compensation.
I'll
move.
Second.
Yeah, first by Alder Rostad and a second by Alder Meyer. We need roll call, right?
Meyer,
Aye.
Rosted,
Aye.
sorry. Lawson is excused. Relke. Aye. Finkler.
Aye.
Hammer.
Aye.
Reed.
Aye.
Thank you. Reed, ayes have it.
And we will come back to open session. We are back to open session, and I will look for a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn for the third time.
Second.
All right, we got a first by Alder Meyer and a second by Alder Rostad. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned.
All right, everybody, welcome to tonight's regular Common Council meeting of Wednesday, April 8th of 2026. And welcome to those that will watch on video. So could I have a roll call, please?
Finkler.
Here.
Hammer.
Here.
Lawson is excused. Meyer.
Here.
Reed.
Here.
Relke.
Here.
Rosted.
Here.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I acknowledge this meeting was posted and noticed according to law.
Okay, I would look for a motion to approve tonight's agenda, but as we get to it, we will not be taking actions on number 4 and 5, and I would like to move number 9 up to before number 3 in new business.
Motion to approve is requested.
Second.
Okay, motion by Alder Rosted, second by Alder Meyer. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, agenda approved. Public comments? Anything? When we get to that. Oh, do you want to, is there anything you want to talk about prior to the agenda item, Ruth? No. Okay. So wait until that time. All right. Then you have in committee minutes for file, which is the library of February 17th of 2026, PFC from February 4th of 2026, Rec Advisory Board of February 9th of 2026. Next would be the consent agenda and approval of the Common Council meetings minutes of March 17th, 2026.
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion by Alder Meyer, second by Alder Rosted. Any discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Consent agenda approved. Next, under new business, is to consider and take action regarding a conditional use permit for RV staging area, parcel 1512.18, located on Commerce Drive, Robbins Creek Commerce Center. This was forwarded by the Plan Commission that had met on March 12th of 2026.
I move to approve the conditional use permit for RV staging area on parcel 1512.18.
Second.
Okay, motion by Alder Meyer, second by Alder Finkler. Any discussion on this? Alder Rosted?
So reading it, I'm assuming the request to remove stuff is stuff that the ordinance requires, correct? The striping of a parking lot and all that?
It does not require striping.
So we're just going for a basic conditional use.
I guess a comment I would have, I think the motion was approve the CUP. I would hope that it would include the conditions listed in the memo. Conditions A through J, that was what the Plan Commission recommended. So I think essentially this is a paved area for outdoor display of merchandise and staging for RV Mark Court. It is technically not a parking lot according to the definition in the zoning code. It is a area for display of merchandise. So there's different requirements for that.
Then, can I get the motion read back?
Well, I'm going to amend it.
It needs to be amended,
I'm going to
yeah.
amend it to approve the conditional use permit with all
Conditions. and
conditions that were approved by the Planning Commission on 3/12/26.
Second.
Okay, amended by Alder Meyer, seconded by Alder Finkler. Alder Reed?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I had no problem with the lack of striping since it's a display area. My question was to make sure the city's not taking on any liability, okaying having areas where the water table was a little high. I thought I read something about them asking for an exception.
Yeah, what you're referring to is the stormwater permit, and that's actually not one of the it's an additional permit. It's actually not part of the conditional use permit. The Rupert Milkie reviewed all the stuff related to that, and the stormwater detention ponds in the area that are already there will really will be sufficient to serve that area of impervious surface. And Jason is here to comment on that if he wants, but he doesn't want to.
Thank you.
That's not, again, that's a separate permit from the conditional use permit.
Thank you.
Great. Any other comments? Alder Rosta?
How long is a conditional use permit good for?
Ongoing, unless the ownership changes.
Okay. I thought I read it, but I can't seem to find it.
A, condition A.
Okay. Anything further, Ryan?
Nope.
Okay. Well, anybody else? If not, then all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion approved. Thank you, safe drive, you bet. Stay
I'll be
awake.
sending you something. Perfect. All right. Thank you.
Okay, then next would be item number 3, which is to consider and take action on the preliminary assessment for the 2026 West School Street reconstruction project. I know there was the comment by Motifs, and there was also an email by Jeremy Rowe, correct? Asking for some consideration. Both of them were affected by the Hibbard Street project, so that was 6 years ago. So,
Do we need a motion
Motion,
to talk
yeah.
about this?
oh, yes,
Motion
sorry.
to approve the preliminary assessments for the 2026 West School Street reconstruction project.
And I'll second it.
Okay, motion by Ross.
Do we need, to include in there flexibility that we talked about with Jason?
Well, not in the motion, you don't. You can, once we get the discussion.
We can amend it.
You can amend.
Then we'd have to amend it.
Yeah,
Correct.
yeah. So motion by Rosted, second by Meyer, so discussion. Again, well, as I started to say that those two were in consideration, or they had made comments regarding. I don't want to get into, make it sound bad, but when you buy a lot, I mean, when I bought my property, I purposely stayed away from a corner lot, knowing stuff like this can happen. I think that we probably could take into some consideration that there could be some credit to what they have to pay, but I mean, that's part of owning the lot that you own. My comments. Alder Meyer? Okay.
He was first.
I got a couple notes on this. So in regards to the motives, I understand them getting somewhat of a deduction on the sidewalks on Hibbard Street. They're the only ones that are having a sidewalk. The sidewalk wasn't going in against. I am completely opposed to any type of deduction or on a sidewalk where both sides of the street are getting brand-new sidewalks. We need to keep it consistent. We've set precedents that we are going to charge that 50% for each parcel. I mean, at the end of the day, the lot's big enough that it could be potentially split. We also have 2 driveways and approaches, so tonight I drove up and down School Street and logged addresses that I thought are gonna be just a complete nightmare, and this is the only one. At the end of the day, that lot is big enough to build another house and sell. We have 2 driveways in there. I mean, they could make a decision to eliminate one of them and figure out how to make it work. They got from what my understanding, they got a pretty nice reduction of a whole quarter of what they owed the last time. So I cannot support any type of deduction in regards to the motives. When we talk about I missed her address, the brand new sidewalk, approach, apron, all of that. I mean, it's less than 5 years old, or it's 5 years old, roughly 5, 6 years old, whatever. Listening to Jason's depiction of how we should handle that, I 100% agree that we should have some type of credit, whether that be 10 or 20%. I think when we amend the motion, we give flexibility within that motion to allow proper deductions. I can't wrap my mind around us giving another deduction or for the motives or Jeremy's place when everybody else in this project are paying their share, right? They're the only 2 that have asked for a deduction. And what really seals my deal is that we can extend these out over 10 years. So that's less than $1,500 a year for the motives towards this. It's unfortunate. I mean, they made a decision to buy a monster property. At the end of the day, there's costs that come with that. And other than a couple of them, I don't think it's right to, I don't want to say subsidize it, but subsidize a project that everybody knew was coming.
Alder Rustin.
Yeah. How do I follow that? I guess my only concern, Marcus took a lot of stuff or said a lot of stuff about the 344 Hibbert Street address. But for Jeremy, is there a way, he says he's still, I believe the email said he's still paying on the Hibbert Street project. Is there a way to add that to this assessment and extend it out another, whatever his allotment allows him to extend it to the max? Is that something we as a governing body can allow? I mean, he's not going to get a break.
Just consolidate it, you mean?
Yeah, and then it starts over. Basically, he gets
Right.
another, if he's allowed 10 years, he gets another 10 years to finish paying off Hibbert Street, but he also has to pay his portion of West School Street. Is that something we can?
The council has the ability to determine the length on repayment for any of these. Right? That is, I mean, that's essentially one of the things you control, is how, essentially they're paying back the city.
Mm-hmm.
And you, as the decisioning body of the city, have the ability to determine how long you're willing to have someone repay that for.
And they're paying back, is there an interest rate? Is it on the borrowed money, our borrowed interest rate, correct?
Yes, should be.
Jason
Thank
to
you,
the rescue.
Yeah, I know this. Yes, they are paying back on the length of the repayment for the interest on the borrowed money for the project. So the question I think that you have that I'd be very careful about is that the interest rates may be different between the two sums, and if we roll that into this, I don't know exactly from a legal standpoint of what statute 66 allows me to do for special assessments, but that's not part of this project. So I think we really, if you're gonna do it, I think there's probably a legal way that you can make that decision and extend that repayment for him and keep that what it is today and just extend that and, reallocate that or whatever you wanna do, but then keep his assessment in this one separate, because I think the interest is probably gonna come out different. And how
Right.
you consolidate that is gonna get a little messy, I think. And from a legal statute, my assessment has to be based with work that's going on in the project. So if we roll something in from 2020, I'm not so sure we can do that legally, but we could get an opinion on that, I think.
Well, and, I mean, you'd have to have that for across the street too, so.
Correct.
Alder Reed?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to add in official flexibility for possible young replaced sidewalk credit, aiming at the 5-ish year mark. Thank you.
Matt?
From what I've heard tonight, and Jason can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but it seems like the credit policy has been part of this, and what I'm hearing is you have interest in formalizing that, we're gonna bring that back, and I thought I heard Jason say 10 years, that obviously if you're doing an apron or a driveway, or some of the items that, I forget the address that she was at where they had recently bought and done this.
335.
That's the one, yeah.
Anyway,
That's a good
I looked it up. I
Okay.
mean, I was looking at the map trying to see
I'll give him
everything,
so much
so.
credit.
but I agree with the comments that if that was done correctly, there's value in that, even if it's in the last 10 years. And I think, Jason, I might be wordsmithing here, but I think Jason said under 10 years, 10 years and under credit policy is something that we want to look at formalizing as part of our assessment policy.
And this has been done in the past too on other projects, I know that, so. Okay.
I
Alder
think
Brooke.
I would like personally to see if we're gonna adjust or amend the policy. I understand the longer terms of repayment for large properties such as the motifs, but I do have concern for people like the lady who spoke that it's a hardship based on, single income family, medical issues, things like that. I personally would like to see some sort of consideration or application for a longer repayment period for people who are in a provable state of hardship.
All right, I love that we're gonna create a policy on concrete, and if there is some credits there, credit policy, whatever we wanna call it, I'm good there. And I would be open to considering, options for hardship. I don't know if we have that defined somewhere else, but other than that, I don't think that just because you chose to purchase a very large lot, that, you should get a discount, on that.
Alder Meyer.
I'm just gonna kind of double down on this. Do we amend the motion tonight and approve it with the 10-year, right, for the concrete replacement? I also don't want to just say, oh, well, we're going to refund you because you replaced 2 squares of your concrete. We're going to refund you that because you did that last year. That's what you're supposed to do when you own a home and you have a sidewalk.
We could amend it just with saying, like, the policy to be created.
Or you don't have to amend, you can table.
It'd be postponed.
Don't table.
Can I offer a recommendation here?
Yeah.
You provide direction to staff tonight with the intent of bringing this back on April 21st. And that we're already going to hopefully have the bid award and the task order for this project on the 21st. And I think having this approval of the assessment report, preliminary assessment report on the 21st, it allows us to go back and fix, edit some of the things that were discussed tonight, the direction that was given, take another stab at it, and hopefully we meet what council's expectations are on the 21st.
So your recommendation is to not do anything, no motion, or no action taken? And
Postpone the next.
Bring the
postpone to
entire thing
next.
back with a purchasing, or the reimbursement policy?
But we would need a
Credit policy.
motion
On the
to
21st.
postpone it till next, though. We still need a motion for
We should
that.
just be able to withdraw.
Withdraw the motion and take no action.
Correct.
Okay.
However,
Great.
if we're in agreement about not giving credit based on lot size, the credit about freshly replaced material or back payment plan has nothing to do with your preliminary assessment, correct?
Yeah,
We can approve this
We
as
can
is.
approve the policy, or this as is. We can address the payback policy, the payback payment options at a later date. And
I
we,
like that idea.
Yep.
Yep, let's get it approved.
and then we can, the credit for said parcels for material replacement, does that affect the preliminary assessment? It's not gonna affect it.
If anything, it's gonna drop it.
Yes, we haven't done that before. So we haven't done that before. Usually we go back and update the report and bring it back. Now, I think we've always kind of done the credit just on direction back to me to say, and again, not a policy in place, but we've tried to be consistent with how we've done that. My only fear is that if we approve it, the things that we're approving in the final assessment is just essentially minor quantity adjustments. We're not applying credits or making changes as to what's assessed or not assessed then. It's just updating the report. So again, legally, I'm a little lost on this one, but I'm a little concerned that what we approve tonight will have to stand. I like Matt's recommendation a little bit of if we can update, if we can get the information from the person, and honestly, sometimes people say they have it and they don't provide it, and then they just forget about it because it's not worth it. So, you know, we could approve it tonight, for sure. But then I don't know if we can go back and apply something later, if you guys want to, because it was approved as we kind of set it out to be. So again, if you guys want to ultimately approve it tonight and you're fine with the way it is, you know, I think we could go with it, but, you know, I don't know how the credit gets applied later and if we can do that with the final true up or not.
I mean,
So I can
Well,
withdraw.
waiting 2 weeks.
I'll just
really
withdraw,
isn't.
I can withdraw my motion, but I can make a motion to defer it to 421.
just postpone to 421 with
Postpone.
no action taken.
Perfect. I'm gonna withdraw my previous motion. As stated.
Do we need to second and vote on that withdrawal? How does that work? That's way deep into Robert's rules.
Who was the second?
You were.
I was
Molly
the
was.
second, but I don't, that's what I'm saying. Do we need to second and then vote on a withdrawal?
motion?
Well, let's do it. Let's do it.
Just, okay, then I second the withdrawal.
Okay. Is there any further discussion on the motion? Marcus, did you have on the motion? Okay. So all in favor of the motion to withdraw and move to the April 21st meeting?
We just are withdrawing right now.
Or just withdraw?
Yes.
Yeah, just withdrawal of the motion.
Yep. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Motion is withdrawn. Staff has the information to bring back to the next council.
I'll
Well,
make
now
a,
we
I'll
move
make
to
a
postpone.
motion to
You don't
post,
have to.
No?
You withdrew it. You're just giving him direction to, it's no action. Yeah.
Okay.
So items 4 and 5 are removed, and so next would be consider and take action on Resolution 8-26, resolution authorizing the issuance and sale of $5,280,000 for the electric and waterworks system revenue bonds, Series 2026A. Greg, sorry to make you wait so long.
Good evening. So you recall last month, you authorized 2 debt issuances to fund 2026 capital projects. So the first of those is the electric and waterworks system revenue bonds. Both sales were conducted this morning, so I'll go through the sale results. So for the water and electric revenue bonds, a total of 4 bids were received. The winning bid was submitted by Baird. The final true interest cost came in at 4.0653%. The total net principal and interest over the 20-year life of the bonds came in $438,785 less than the estimate that was presented to the council last month. So essentially, interest rates came in more favorable, cost of issuance were less, which is why your total debt service costs are less. The final borrowing amount is $4,960,000, so that's less than the amount that was identified on your agenda. That's not a problem, but just so you're aware, that's the amount that you're awarding is the $4,960,000. The water and electric revenue bonds were rated by Moody's. The existing rating was affirmed at A3. There's a copy of the rating report in the sale report. All the financial analysis and charts I presented last month are all updated. But again, the debt service costs came in less than estimated. I can go through those if you want, but maybe I'll just pause here and see if you have any questions.
Any good?
Do you want to take action on this resolution before you do the next?
Yes.
Sure. What was that amount again?
$4,960,000.
It's not in the resolution though, is it?
It's in the title of the
Just to
resolution.
explain, these resolutions were created last week. The sale happened this morning, and it was beneficial to us as a reduced
Correct.
number. So I think when they approve the resolution, they just
Change
add
the
in the
dollar amount.
updated number, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I will move to approve resolution 08-26 in the amount of $4,960,000.
I'll second.
Okay, to be reflected in the resolution, so. Okay, and motion by Alderman Meyer, second by Alder Roque. Any further discussion on this? Hearing none. Is this a roll call? Or not? Okay, roll call, please.
Reed.
Aye.
Relke. Aye. Lawson is excused, so sorry. It- Meyer.
Aye.
Finkler.
Aye.
Rosted.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay.
Ayes
thank
have
you.
it.
All right, the next would be to consider and take action on Resolution 09-26, a resolution authorizing the issuance and sale of $5,830,000 general obligation promissory notes, Series 2026B.
So this issue funds primarily the city capital projects for 2026 and the sewer projects for this year. The final borrowing amount also reduced based on the final sale results today. It came in at $5,750,000. For this general obligation note issue, 5 bids were received. Winning bid was also submitted by Baird in this instance. The final true interest cost came in at 3.8136%. The total net principal and interest over the life of the notes came in $129,788 less than the presale estimate that was presented to council last month. The fiscal impact for these notes is really very comparable to what we showed you last month. So the debt service levy, factoring in these notes and your existing debt, is projected to increase by about $285,000 from 2016 to 2026 to 2027, which is right in line with what we had presented last month. So same situation, bids were taken this morning, final interest rates were better, cost of issuance were lower, so the amount that you should include in your motion for this resolution, should you choose to award, is $5,750,000. And as is shown up on the screen, the existing rating for the GO notes was also, GO debt was also affirmed at A1 by Moody's.
Greg, can you highlight that A1 is as good a rating as we can get a community our size?
Yeah, the A1 rating for Columbus has been in place for many years, 10 years plus. Every time the city goes into the market, you know, you go through a same rating process. As Matt alluded to, for, you know, a city the size of Columbus, in terms of your overall financial condition, economic metrics, it's kind of consistently where the city has landed. The fact that your rating has remained stable is a good thing. It's positive. You know, ratings can go down as much as they can go up. So the fact that you've maintained the rating consistently for many years is positive. And the report reflects a lot of the historical strengths that the city has had, strong reserve levels, you know, which are noted, and just kind of stable finances. So it's positive. The fact that you're remaining the same is not a negative at all.
I will move to approve Resolution 09-26 for it to reflect $5,750,000 within the resolution.
Second.
Okay, motion by Alder Meyer, second by Alder Rusted. Any further discussion on this? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Finkler. Aye. Rosted.
Aye.
Meyer.
Aye.
Relke. Aye. Lawson is excused. Reed.
Aye.
Ayes have it, 5-0.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Greg.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Safe journey home for you, too. Right, then next is to consider and take action regarding Wisconsin Department of Transportation functional classification system for Columbus Fall River.
Motion to approve DOT's functional classification system for Columbus Fall River.
Second.
Okay, motion by Alder Rosted, second by Alder Reed. Any further discussion on this item? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carried. Then next would be to consider and take action regarding Rest Haven alteration previously approved by the council. So, Mike, if you want to fill us in, and Ruth is here
Sure.
also.
And I'm sure Ruth will have her comments on that. HLPC has been fundraising for the rehabilitation of Rest Haven, which was built in 1920 as a building to support
Ruth,
campers
you can come
who are
up to the table here.
visiting Columbus. And they have money in a specific account for this purpose. They have put together a project. You guys previously approved a project, and now they're adding on to that project. The original project was handicap accessibility for front doors, and now they are adding on additional doors, side doors, with the handicap accessibility moving to one of the side doors from the front door. So that cost of the scope and the cost of the project is going up. So if I'm missing anything in there, there's been a lot of discussion on this project, so if I'm missing anything there on the scope.
One minor detail, it was built in 1923. I think Mike covered quite a bit of it.
The front doors are still being replaced.
Yeah.
Yes.
They just won't have the handicap accessibility. So.
And with the front doors, they're double French doors. Previously, they're going to open in, and with the fire code, things like that, they need to open out. And so when I came here last, we're going to have the handicap accessible by the front door. And because the doors have to open out, there's some things that make it really tough to have it be handicap accessible and keep it French doors. And so we came up with, we feel like a new and better idea is put the handicap accessible door to the side facing the Boy Scouts, and that will also be the handicap accessible bathroom in the future. And I personally went out there, and it works really good for the turnability and getting in and out of that area with David. And so we want to expand it to include these two side entrances and we'd like to order it all from one company, so they're all the same style door. And I think that kind of covers it. That we will have the push-button handicap accessibility on that side entrance. So we'll just be moving that from the front to there. Any other questions?
Well, we'll get a motion here.
I'm
first.
gonna move to approve as presented in the packet.
I'll second.
Okay, motion by Alder Meyer, second by Alder Roki. Discussion? Okay, Alder Meyer?
I just want to verify, does this now mean that we have to go to competitive building? We capped this off at 25,000 to avoid that initially. If we double this,
There is the doors, the two side doors, come in at approximately $6,775.
But when
I'm
added to
sorry.
when added to the front door and added to the electric, what is our total cost?
it's a project as a whole has to be bidded out. So,
But there were multiple bids submitted, were there not?
There were multiple quotes.
Quotes.
Yeah, multiple.
There's multiple quotes for just the doors. Then there's supposed to be multiple quotes for the installation of the doors, and then multiple quotes for the push buttons and the electric.
but do we or do we not need to bid these out as the project because of the?
This entire project should have went to public bid, because what I'm seeing is it's exceeding $25,000 in total cost. And it is what my, don't take offense to this, but my long-term favorite council member in a previous community referred to as Project Creep.
Project what?
Creep.
Scope creep.
Could there be discussion if we keep the 25,000 for the front door and we can get that done without doing the handicap accessibility, and then get that project completed, but then come back ask for like phase 2, and then we add on the 2 doors separately?
Is there any time frame that is required in between projects on the same building that is there a state law that says you can't do anything until X days after a project's completed?
So I don't want to speak for Paul, but what I would hear Paul say is who's going to sue is ultimately what an issue like this comes down to, and it's not highly likely that someone is going to. The one challenge with that is I'm somewhat familiar with ADA law.
Correct.
And when you replace the front doors,
We have to replace all.
you have to meet ADA accessibility, which you're not doing by replacing the front doors. So no matter where this goes, we're running a legal risk
Correct.
in either violating federal ADA or violating state bid law.
So what I'm hearing is we either reject this, well, we can't reject it, because we're going to be in violation one way or the other at this point. Or we reject it and send it to public bid as a project.
And just so you're aware, we did contact 10 people the first time around. We submitted this with the first application.
And just so everybody
doesn't
understands the difference between quotes and bids.
Yeah.
When you're over $25,000 in public construction, there is a legal notice for requirement of publication of a bid in the paper of record.
I would really like this to go through the bid process, and I would also like assurances and tons of warm fuzzies that we are not breaking any ADA compliance laws, federal or state.
Well, I apologize to waste all your time. This was how I was directed at our meeting, and it's a learning curve. So if that's the way we should do it, then we can do it. The costs usually go up considerably, and this is a project that's been a long time trying to get some part of it done. And if that's what we have to do to meet that, then I guess we'll
I-
figure out how to do that.
I've got two thoughts. The first is that we need to ask Paul for some direction on how to proceed. In terms of what is our best mode of addressing this. Is it a phased where we get the phase one finished and then we figure out a plan for phase two and how that moves forward? The second thing is we are asking a ton of a committee of volunteers in terms of trying to comply with this. And I think this is no fault of anyone. There was a time where maybe the city staff didn't have interest in these projects or didn't have the ability to carry them out, and we've relied on a citizen committee to do things like fully renovate the pavilion. But I think in my conversations with all of you, similar to some of the evolution of beautification to public spaces and how that committee is moving forward, I think these are projects that need to be carried out by city staff, and that the committee can provide direction and work on how we address these issues and bring them forward. And obviously, the fundraising work here that the committee has done is exemplary, right? And a lot of this has been a lot of like blood, sweat, and tears, and I completely recognize that. But I think these are projects that are best, and we're asking a lot of David, that this isn't necessarily his day-to-day operation either. And these are really projects that our public works team should be carrying out if, when these projects come forward and the council says move forward, that I think public works should be asked to deliver these projects for the city.
And I agree 100%, but that's not where we're at right now.
Correct.
Right? Vision, straight ahead, looking back, it's 2020, right? Absolutely agree with you. I mean, well, I'm not going to do it yet because there's people who want to talk, but I intend to withdraw my motion at this point.
Who is next? Okay, Ryan?
I guess the question I have is, the first project has already been approved by council. So theoretically, we can't stop them from proceeding with previous council approval.
Correct.
But
Well, and I
if
think
that project takes place, then we're in violation of federal ADA law.
Which we're in violation of in a lot of, and every community in the state is in violation of federal ADA.
But I think if now we've drawn attention to it, how do we proceed with, because it's not on the agenda, they're just asking for more money to complete the project. They didn't reword it as a phase two.
I think council could award moving forward with this project as a phase two project.
That goes out to RFP, construction RFP.
Well,
Separate project.
The difference is, our costs are gonna be, we're asking for 50,000, which we have. If we add everything up and put in some for the might as well or the paint, total comes to $40,000. So we're technically asking for 15,000 for phase two in order to complete the project to code. We hired an architect and we went to SHPO, and no one directed us that these doors could not swing in until we're close at knuckling down the decisions. And to the city's credit, thank God, it was replacing the doors. They said, beep, 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 wait, fire code, they need to swing out. And that just came up in the last 6 to 8 weeks since after I saw you last. And so it's a bump. We'd like, if we would call phase two 15,000, for the 2 additional doors, I don't know.
We're still over that
I mean,
threshold on a bid. And I think,
I think it looks like we're scheming the system if we approve this.
Okay.
and I agree with Matt. I think we can point fingers everywhere, right?
Correct.
I think city's liable for possibly not giving adequate direction to the volunteer committee. So I think we need to take a step back and pause this, postpone it, and get it done correctly. That's my take.
Then at this point, would we work with the city to see the proper process?
I would believe so, because that's next item on or
My-
part of the memo here.
My direction is that we first need Paul to take a look at this and provide some direction on how to best move forward, right? And whatever that looks like, that we're gonna have to, whatever that direction from Paul is, we're gonna have to follow that. And it's my recommendation to have Public Works lead that process with advice from HLPC, but that we ask staff to carry this out moving forward.
So, who sits on HLPC as staff liaisons?
Myself and David.
Okay, so if we're gonna require, this might be getting in the weeds, but if we're gonna require DPW to oversee this project, I believe one of them should be the liaison.
Or Adam.
Or Adam, well, you wanna keep the 7, and mayoral appointments should be the next agenda, right? So we can critique that and make that where, if that's the scope we want, there's someone there that can take the information firsthand is my concern.
And again, so just to clarify, I think HLPC's role is advocating for projects and fundraising. Once council directs the project to move forward, then at that point, Public Works delivers the project.
But who's gonna manage it from the point where they fundraise, right? Who are we laying responsibility with to get us a project in front of us that's right, that we can approve the first time?
So, capital project planning, CIP planning. HLPC wants to do a project, they come to council, they have X dollars fundraised for that project. Council says, yep, we're gonna move forward with that project, we agree, and then it is a deliverable of Public Works to carry that project out.
And just before that, we usually come to city council with the idea and ask
Yep.
permission
Yep.
for the fundraising.
Okay. Yep.
So you're well aware of what our next step looks like.
And they may have a napkin sketch or a concept or a design of what they want. And then at that point, when the council says, we're gonna move forward with this project, then Public Works has to work with whatever we need to do to get that to a bid spec if it's a project over 25,000, right?
Yep.
And council may have to say, HLPC's done an amazing job raising $75,000 for the support of this project. We know that the engineering work associated with it's probably gonna run 10 to 15, and the city's gonna pay that 10 to 15 to hire XYZ to carry that project out, get it spec'd, get it where it needs to be to accept public bids, bring that bid award back to council, council awards the bid, Public Works oversees the construction project just like they do any other city-funded construction project, and that's how we would essentially move forward in the future, would be my recommendation.
So at this point, I need to withdraw my motion and we need to take no action.
Is there any other
Trina's been waiting.
Yeah, I've been waiting quite,
patiently.
Sorry, I'm
quite a
Say
long time.
something.
Thank you. I mean, I really dislike the format of taking away all of the love and care the HLPC has been doing forever. I can't imagine many of the city staff having quite the same eye for craftsmanship of what is going to go into the, 100-plus year structure. I do think that we need more direction and consultation with Public Works to notice small things that are big things, like the doors need to go out instead of in from the beginning. Although this mistake could have happened no matter what, I'm just really hoping for this project-wise that we can still have the approved front door as its own freestanding unit, and then have the side doors as a second project. Looking at the bidding, I'm a little confused on which ones don't include certain things, like whether or not delivery is included, whether or not they're painted, because some are specific in saying it's included, and others you really can't quite tell. So that's something that needs to be a little bit forthright in the bit of what's coming in. Again, there's no way to know if it can be a second side door project without getting legal counsel, but that's just the direction I'm looking at.
Sorry. Alder Finkler.
I would like to go with Matt's recommendation, and then I also really think that to be good stewards of money that has been donated, that we don't try to just rush ahead and get this front door project done, that we really thoughtfully think through what is the best solution for all the doors. Like, I know we're excited, I know we want to fix it, but I'm really worried this is going to bite us in the end, and we're going to have rework because we've done something wrong, because we just want to move ahead with phase one, and we just want to do that. And I think to be good stewards, again, of that donated money, we should just pause real quick, follow Matt's recommendation, and this is our little storming before our norming, and we're going to get through this bumpy part, we're going to get this figured out, and then future projects are going to be a lot smoother, and we're not going to have these types of problems.
Mike?
Is there any other thoughts about other projects beyond these doors for Rest Haven going forward?
Well, if you've been out there, the door is in pretty bad shape. You have to get a pie to undo the padlock. There's they don't really close super tight, so there's gaps in the door.
Any plans for bathrooms or?
So
Yeah, the bathroom
anything
up
else
there.
in addition where the scope of the project could be to include, correct?
Yeah, I'm just,
You know.
Oh, yes, and
I'm
that,
just
the
asking.
whole project has gone out twice for bid. It's come in at around 525,000, which we don't have that kind of money. And so then we decided, okay, let's break something apart, the most needed area. But we can downscale the bathrooms, we can take it back to the drawing board, which we sort of have done, is like, okay, let's concentrate on the worst area, get the doors working, let them be handicap accessible, and then we can downsize the bathroom project, but still get the bathrooms done. And by that, the original plan had 2 stalls. If we go, if anyone's been out to Dodge County Park or different bathrooms, a lot of bathrooms have been revised just as a 1-stall, handicap accessible, and we can downsize that. We've opened up the showers that were there once, they were boarded up, and that can be like a little private area for like a nursing mother or something like that, and kind of keep the original look to a certain extent, but yes, they would have to be insulated, drywalled probably. We've wanted to heat and cool it. It's well used, but it's not heated right now. So it's pretty much used all summer long for the play school. It does get rented out from this, whenever Amy Jo starts a rental season there, for people to have showers there, things like that. Right now, the working bathrooms are about 50 yards away by the baseball diamond. Not far. And there's always the swimming pool. So we can work with the city and try to, like, I'm not sure, Mike, just what you mean, like, you know, maybe a doable number is 250,000. Go out for bids for that and just have that, the doors and the bathrooms be included. And you know, this, I don't know. I haven't thought about that, so I can't quick answer that. But yes.
I think what I'm putting together is we need Marcus to withdraw his motion. Whoever seconded it, re-second that motion. Then I'll make a motion that this project goes to Paul Johnson for legal advice, and we move forward based off of the legal direction from Paul. And I would advise, I'm not a lawyer, but don't scale back anything in your project just to echo what Molly said to get it done. Leave it as is, so you guys as a committee know your hard dollar you need to get for fundraising. You can scale it back after everything's bidded out. If it comes in at $500,000 and you only raise 400,000, you can scale it back at that point. Don't cut your dream short, because then you got to come back to us again.
Would the city consider putting any dollars towards this?
That's a budget conversation.
Yeah, that's a budget. Yeah, okay, all righty.
Okay, Alder Reed?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I agree on not cutting back on your vision on the front end. I also don't want to see everything of your dreams put together in one giant $500,000 lump, because that will bring everything way, 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 way into the future. I would like to have the listing of everything you're hoping to do within the next couple of years all together, so it's known. But I definitely prefer the, part by part by part, so it's just more likely to happen.
Alder Finkley.
Yeah, before I forget, I second the motion to withdraw, and then also, you did, you made a motion to
No, he
withdraw.
said he was planning
Oh.
to. Okay.
Oh, I thought you said you're making to a motion to. Yeah, give me a break, Jesus. The other thing I want to say is, like, I would really like, yeah, I don't want a proposal for $500,000 to come to council. We just don't have the money for that. But what I would like to see is all the work that needs to get done, and it prioritized in the order that it should be prioritized. And then we can piecemeal it out into phases and what you fundraise. What I don't want us to do is be like, oh, I have this money burning hole in my pocket. I want to get this done because I think that's what needs to get done. Like, we really should, like, bring in the professionals, and they should be determining what our order of priorities are and just kind of pausing. I just want us to pause a second here and then and follow Matt's recommendation. So that's kind of where I'm at. We really just, like, need this prioritized in a better way than and no offense, but we're not, like, I'm on committees and commissions too, and I'm not an expert, so I can't decide what should get done first.
Ready? I'm gonna make I'm just gonna withdraw my motion to approve.
Okay.
Second.
Right. You had something further to say?
I would just give the council one thing to think about, not tonight, but moving forward. There are bathrooms in the pavilion. There are bathrooms at the pool. There are bathrooms that can't be used at Rest Haven, and there are bathrooms that can't be used in the beer garden. What is the right number of bathrooms for Fireman's Park? Where are we best invested in Fireman's Park? And think about the rest of the park system and where we may or may not need bathrooms. And I'll leave it at that.
You mean we have a master plan?
Well, it sounds like the majority of people feel, for Matt to reach out to Paul, get his input on this before we move forward. So, all right.
Do we all have to? Yeah, we
You have to, a motion? Okay.
So we have a motion and a second.
Yeah. We need an all in favor.
Oh, that's right, for the withdraw. Okay, yeah, so, those in favor of the motion to withdraw the original motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. But we don't need a motion for him to, so, because everybody is good, no action, correct. Right,
Thank you for your
Okay.
time.
yeah, thanks, Ruth.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Ruth.
Take care. It's all right.
Tom picking you up, or?
Yeah, I know, he's been waiting.
Oh, he's been waiting.
What a guy.
All right, good night, Ruth. All right. Then, next on the agenda is to consider and take action on claims in the amount of $270,208.67.
Motion to approve the claims at $270,208.67.
Second.
Okay, motion by Rosted, second by Meyer to pay the claims. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Relke. Aye. Finkler. Aye. Rostad.
Aye.
Reed.
Aye.
Meyer.
Aye.
Ayes have it. 5-0.
Okay. Report?
I'll keep it short. It's been a long night. I just want to thank Susan and an army of volunteers for the work at election yesterday. There was a steady crowd throughout the day, 1,400 plus voters in a community our size for a non-major November election was a great turnout, and just can't say enough things about the planning and work that goes on to carry out our election process.
Okay, I will.
It was 1,391.
To be exact.
It's okay.
Hand counted.
But we did
And
have a 42% turnout, so that was very good for a spring election.
Yeah, I would like to second Matt's comments. I think many thanks to Susan and her crew for their poll work. Thanks to the citizens that did their civic duty and voted in yesterday's election. My congratulations to the Columbus archery team for their great showing at state. A lot of awards from that event, and many of them will be moving on to the nationals. This Sunday, April 12th, is the Columbus Fire Department's pancake breakfast, so don't forget that. And we currently have one vacancy on the Columbus Historic Landmarks and Preservation Commission and 2 on tourism. So with that, I would look for a...
I forgot one thing
okay.
that I'm going to be remiss not to mention. We are starting our aldermanic walks tomorrow evening. District 1, 5 o'clock. We will start here from City Hall. It's a loop that runs or walks through District 1 and ends up back at City Hall. Hope that anyone is able to make that event, and this is something that we're going to carry out. District 2 is on April 14th, and District 3 is on April 28th, all three starting at 5 o'clock. There's more information on the website for anyone looking.
All right, move to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, motion by Finkler, second by Meyer. Discussion, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We stand adjourned.